Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We are back at it. The peaches are ready. They're still firm. They're starting to soften up. They smell really fragrant, and because I have to have them in the water bath for 20 minutes, I really just don't want to lose the texture of the peach. I don't want them to be too soft. So I'm going to go ahead and can these up this morning. All right, so I washed my peaches, I pitted them, I had my jars in the boiling water. As it came to temperature, they're going to cook for 20 minutes, so you don't have to sterilize them, but you do want to make sure that they're clean. My rings and tops have been hand washed and are drying in the sink. And then I have a light syrup going. I did 1 cup of sugar to 3 cups of water. I've already learned, so I'm just doing pint jars. This is my first time trying to can peaches, so I didn't want to can too many because I wanted to see how they turn out. But I've already learned that you can fit a lot more in if you slice the peaches versus have them, which is what I did for the first 3 jars. So I'm going to pour the syrup over the 4 jars that I have completed and get those into my water bath canner. And then I think I'm going to grab a quart jar to just get the rest of the peaches that I have already cut up. So I'm going to throw these peaches in for 20 minutes. everyone. I didn't do a haul or a pantry stock from last week because I was still preparing some stuff. And we found a really good sale on a pork shoulder at a local specialty market. They had pork shoulders on sale for 99 cents a pound. So Ryan went to the grocery store. Ryan is my husband. Ryan went to the grocery store yesterday and grabbed a 10-pound pork shoulder, and we divvied it up, and that's going to get us through winter. I wanted 4 2-pound pork shoulders, and that's something that I can cross off my list, which is really great. I have 2 good-sized bags, one of peaches and one of blueberries that I want to get into the freezer. My peaches, my large quart jar, and 3 of my pint jars sealed properly. 1 of my pint jars did not seal, so we have that in the refrigerator, but I'm excited to try it and see how they taste. In addition to the 4 2-pound pork shoulders that we vacuum sealed and froze, we got 2 pounds of bacon, a pound of chorizo that we split into half-pound portions just because it looked really seasoned. This is a great way to add a lot of flavor to a dish, and then it can be primarily vegetables but still really flavorful. And then I bought too much chicken last week. My sister came down and I bought some chicken breasts to grill for us for lunch for the day, and they were giant and we did not eat them all, and that was going to get me through the week. So I froze the rest of the chicken tenders that I bought from the grocery store. So really good to stock up the pantry and the freezer. I'm going to go put those down now, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of the peaches that I have and my last pint of blueberries. We also had a pretty frustrating development today. Ryan called me at work this morning, and our pool, we just have a best way. It's like 15 foot, 42 inches deep, which is about 4 feet deep. Sprung a leak right around the bottom drain plug. And there's like no obvious tear or rip, so we're not entirely sure what happened. And that's a big bummer. We're mid-June, or we're late June. It's June 24th today. And we just started to be able to use it because it had been raining for weeks and weeks and weeks. And now we're draining it and trying to figure out what we're going to do next. It's pretty frustrating. I decided I'm freezing some, so I'm freezing about 3/4 of the blueberries, and then I am freezing about 1.5 cups of the peaches, and the rest I'm going to make a blueberry peach jam. I've said previously I don't really follow recipes. It is my creativity, but it's also a bad habit. So we're just going to try it out. So I did 4 cups of peaches, 1/2 cup of blueberries, 1 cup of sugar, probably about a teaspoon of lemon. I decided that I want to spice it, so I am going to throw in some ginger and let's see, maybe some nutmeg. I don't want to do cinnamon because I make a nectarine plum jam that I put cinnamon in. That's really yummy. And I don't want to have like too many cinnamony things, but my other jams have just been pretty much fruit or fruit and herbs. So I want to do something that has a little spice to it this time. My water is coming up to temperature on the stove. I find it's easiest to have it boiling when you're ready to start your jam because you know that you're going to be able to throw your jars in there as soon as you get them filled. So I have learned from a couple jam recipes, so I did this with strawberries and I did it with my blueberry jam too, that you can let it sit in the refrigerator, the fruit, overnight with the sugar and macerate and mash it. I don't know how much that helps, but it does seem to help the consistency of the jam. And I'm not doing it overnight, but I've got my peaches and my blueberries just sitting in the sugar right now, and the peaches are perfectly ripe. So there is a lot of liquid in there. So I think that that's going to cook down really lovely. And I am by no means an expert at this. I made my first jam less than a year ago. I think last August is when I made my first jam, and then I was kind of hooked because while it was work, it was also something that was relatively simple. I like to eat a fairly healthy diet, and not having a lot of preservatives, not having a lot of added sugar, knowing where the ingredients come from in my food is something that's important to me. And you obviously can't control that when you're buying canned or frozen stuff from the grocery store. I mean, you can read labels, but there's not very much within your control. And I just was hooked kind of right away. And then we started planning for this summer, and I decided that I wanted to can and freeze and preserve a lot of food in the summertime. I wasn't planning on making this jam, but I wanted to make sure that we were going to use those peaches because they were perfect. I love ginger, and ginger is really delicious with stone fruits. It's also great for your body. It's technically a stimulant. It's a really heating herb, but it's good for digestion, moving energy around in your body, and it's just delicious. It's really good if you feel like you're getting sick. Good to put in some hot water. It opens up the sinuses. Yeah, I think that's good. And I just buy large, they look like hands of ginger, and I keep mine frozen, and I just basically shred it into everything with a microplane. Chopping ginger isn't the easiest, and not even when it's frozen, it's still kind of dangerous. And I feel like this way it just kind of melts into your food. It blends in a little bit more than those big ginger chunks. I'm also going to do some nutmeg. I always also have fresh nutmeg. It's just so much better to grate it fresh versus the powdered stuff that you're going to get in a container. And you can buy these relatively inexpensively. I got a bag that has 5 or 6 cloves of nutmeg, and they will last you a decently long time at World Market for fairly inexpensive. Smells so good. And nutmeg has a kind of very distinct flavor. You tend to want to be lighter on nutmeg than being over on nutmeg. So I did quite a bit less than I did of the ginger. My water is just starting to come up to a boil, starting to bubble, so I'm going to leave the lid on, and I've turned the heat on to my jam, and I'm going to cook that down. I will get that into the jars, wipe off the rims, put on the little lid, and get it in my water. morning, everyone. It is Friday morning and just kind of planning things out for the weekend. I have decided I'm gonna try and take it easy this weekend. We're gonna work on fixing the pool, so I might show some of that, but not a ton of food preservation. The garden is doing its best with the challenging weather that we've been having. It's just been really wet. It rains almost every single day, or it was, over 100 degrees. I did put some, it's garden bed felt to prevent weeds, but I had some extra, so I put it over the structures that I have in place to help support my tomatoes because they were looking really, really scraggly. And that seems to have helped a little bit. Now, if it would just not rain for a couple of days, that would be great. I did want to show the jam that I made, the peach, blueberry, ginger jam, canned up really nicely, everything sealed, and I got my first zucchini that I pulled out of the garden this morning. We were able to eat some of the chard from the garden in a meal this week, so I'm starting to be able to see some of the fruits of my labors, literally, and that's exciting. So hopefully we'll continue to see items coming onto the plants. All right, guys, so we have a boggy marsh situation. This is where the pool is leaking. It's like coming around the seal. It's coming around the seal here. So I think what we decided that we're gonna do is we're draining it. We currently have a pump in there helping to drain it out, and we're going to get some Flex Seal tape and we're gonna seal it up on the inside and then put glue around the outside in a seal, and hopefully that stops the water coming out from there. I'm not sure if I'll film that or not, but I'll definitely let you know if it solves the problem, because this is definitely, you don't want to be draining your pool in a heat wave at the end of June. Good morning, everyone. It's about 9:30 on Saturday and it is absolutely boiling. We're still trying to get our pool drained, so I've been doing some jobs outside that I can do before it gets too hot. We trimmed down some branches this morning that were just kind of hanging really low, or a couple that were dead back in the corner of the yard, so I was breaking those up and putting those in the compost and in the new garden bed that I built last week. And then I took the pump off of the pool. It is almost drained. We did have a really big problem with algae just because of all the rain that we've been having, so I want to give everything a really good clean before I hook it back up. Hopefully our fix works. But this is the current situation. We've got our pump going. We are almost to the drain plug, which is right over there, and then I can start working on hopefully getting that sealed and covered, and then this obviously needs a really good clean, and then we will start filling it back up. I am being optimistic and hopeful that we're gonna have the pool ready in time for 4th of July. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm sure gonna try. But I thought since we were out here, let's take a quick look at the garden. I'm kind of giving up on all my spring, early summer plants. None of them really did a whole lot, but my summer plants seem to be growing well and be doing okay, so I thought I'd show you really quickly. I had a problem with this strawberry plant. It started dying off, but I just cut off all the brown and it seems to be rebounding, so whatever the issue was, it seems to be resolving. So the strawberries are growing and spreading. The chard is looking phenomenal. This spot is really too sunny for it, so I know that next year I will plant it in a different location. That's that new garden bed that's going to be for my greens. I've got a couple new little spears on my one lone asparagus plant. The pumpkins and squashes are just living their best life. I pulled this one up the fence because I felt like the bed was getting too crowded here, but I don't know when pumpkins start coming on the vines. I'm excited for it. My cucumbers are finally starting to take off. This one's climbing. This one was supposed to be a bush cucumber, but I don't know, maybe it was mislabeled because it's definitely spreading. So I'm probably gonna end up having that climb up right over here. This is the cantaloupe plant. I bought a cantaloupe at the farmer's market this morning, so it's obviously really late, but I don't know. I'm just gonna let it go and see what happens. Little tiny baby nasturtium flower. This little guy's trying here. My tomatoes aren't doing fantastic. It's been very wet and they have not liked that. I moved them to a sunnier location to hopefully dry out the soil a little bit quicker. I didn't water anything. It rained again yesterday. Today I'm gonna play it by ear on the watering. I tend to overwater, so we'll see. I'm losing a couple of my broccolis. This one and this one are starting to look kind of nasty. I'm gonna let them keep growing. I hadn't planned anything else for this bed and I don't want it to just be empty, so I'm kind of just letting this stuff go and see what it does. This broccoli is looking really great. I did learn this bed gets a lot of sun, and this bed where I have my tomatoes and peppers doesn't get quite as much. So I think next year I'm gonna flip-flop them. So the tomatoes will go over here and my brassicas will go over here. And then this bed just continues to do well. I've got quite a few little zucchinis that I've seen on my zucchini plants. One of these is a squash plant. One of these is a yellow squash. I don't know which one, so we'll find out. My calendula, my only surviving calendula out of all the seeds that I planted. Oh, there's another little one right next to it that's small, but is finally getting ready to bloom, so I'm excited about that. And that's how we're doing this week. I got these, I ordered them from a nursery in Ohio. They are called Chores. It's a tart bush cherry, and it actually fruits in the fall. So it's supposed to help prevent the birds from eating all of the fruit because they don't eat red fruits in the late summertime. So they looked a little weary just from their travels via the postal service in a box. So I've left them in the pots that they came in and the dirts that they came in when they came to me for about 2 weeks. And so I am going to plant these guys up in a couple pots. I know eventually I'll have to move them into something bigger, but I would like them to be able to root and spread out and hopefully get really strong this year. It'll be at least 2 years, I believe, before I get any fruit from them. Good morning. I put water in the pool this morning. I worked on that Saturday afternoon and cleaning it out yesterday, and it is not looking like the patch that I put in place resolved the problem. I did find just like a little tear in kind of the reinforcement around the seal, and I was hoping with some like flex glue and then like a gorilla glue patch that was going to resolve the leak. And we still have water coming through the plug. I don't really know how much more time or effort I want to put into it. It's a bummer. We're pretty upset about it just because we'd only had it for a year. I did buy the extended warranty, so I'm currently dealing with that company, and that hasn't been proving to be easy. So we don't really know what we're going to do. I also just purchased a bunch of chemicals and filters to kind of get us through the rest of the summer. So we are on a little bit of a time crunch just because I would have the opportunity to still return those if we're not going to need them. So I'm going to leave the video here this week. I know I kind of bounced around, was just doing a bunch of small things. I would really love to know if there's something more that you would like to see on the channel. Please let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe the videos as I'm trying to build the channel. But I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next week.